So what is going on, guys? I am Black Ops Amazing. Welcome back to another video. Today I just want to talk to you guys in general, I guess, have a conversation, kind of, still to do with the topic of Call of Duty, more specifically zombies, but I guess COD as a whole, Vanguard, the situation that I think most of the community is probably in right now, not just on YouTube, but playing the game. Any of you guys out there watching this video, playing COD for yourselves on your Xbox, your PlayStation, PC, whatever it may be, it's just a very weird feeling right now, and it has been for a few months, considering that we are halfway through a Call of Duty game's life cycle, especially a game that has a zombies mode, let alone a Treyarch zombies mode. It just doesn't feel like that. I don't think in my whole, I don't even know how long I've been making YouTube videos now. I think since 2012. Actually, let me just check on the channel. Yes, so since the 26th of June 2012 was when I first made this channel. I did have other channels before that, and even going back to my very first videos, I began making content on multiplayer. I'm not going to recommend any of you guys go back and watch that stuff because it's bad. 10 years ago now is, wow, I hadn't even thought about how long I'd been making YouTube videos on this channel. I have had other channels before. 10 years ago, I would have been 13. I'm 23 now, or 24. You know what, I'm getting to that age and I'm doing the same thing every day where I sometimes forget how old I am, but I think I was 13 when I started this channel, which is crazy. Looking at my first videos now, I did a lot of multiplayer, maybe a zombies video here and there once every 2 or 3 weeks. So I started off as a multiplayer person doing BO2. I then moved on to Modern Warfare 3. From what I can see, I did some content on that before eventually moving the channel to just zombies, still doing Modern Warfare 3 videos here and there. And then since then, I would say I was pretty consistent. I did a ton of BO2 zombies videos. I also did a few COD Ghost videos, but after BO2 finished, you might notice from the business email in the description of my channel, I actually went and covered GTA 5 and I did Grand Theft Auto 5 videos for, well, it must have been until Treyarch's next game, which was Black Ops 3. From what I can see, I did a few hundred GTA Online videos, and then BO3 came out, and that's what I've been doing ever since. I covered Black Ops 3 Zombies, the whole life cycle of that game, and Zombies Chronicles. We then had a 2-year gap, I think it was, until BO4. What I did in that 2-year gap was a ton of Q&A videos, because that was when I started that series. So I had all of World at War, all of BO1, 2 and 3, which is a ton of storyline to get through. In that 2-year gap between BO3 and 4, I also did videos on all of our characters in our Zombies universe, a load of top 5 videos, top 10s and other stuff. The point is, there was a lot to do because there was a lot for us to work with. World at War, BO1, 2 and 3. So that 2-year gap between BO3 and 4 felt very, very quick. It didn't feel empty, and even if you weren't on YouTube and you were just playing the game, I think especially because of the release of Zombies Chronicles, but also how good Black Ops 3 Zombies was, how much content that game had, and also I think at that time, BO2 Zombies was still playable. A lot of people still went back to that game, so there was so much for just COD Zombies players until the next game, which was Black Ops 4. And then when BO4 came out, again, that game had a ton of content, 4 zombies maps on day 1, 4 DLC maps, 8 maps in total, a brand new story for us to dig into, also the old Ether timeline. Because BO4 was a follow-on from BO3 and what came before that, that only added to the massive amount of content and storyline that we already had for this mode. And so when Black Ops 4 finished and we had that ending for Tag der Toten, I feel like in the it was a 1-year gap, I think it was, between Black Ops 4 and Cold War, there was still a lot to do. The amount of people playing BO4, 3, 2 Zombies, even BO1 was still very high. I could always find a game, and then when it came to the internet, Reddit, Twitter, YouTube, there was still always discussion to be had with this mode. So there was still plenty of Zombies content for BO4 and after, until the next game, Cold War. And then when Cold War came out, I feel like the game got off on a great start. D Machine, even though yes, we only had 1 zombies map, where compared to previous games, BO4 we had 4 on day 1, BO3 we had 2 zombies maps on day 1, BO2 we had 1 zombies map on day 1, and then Black Ops 1 we had 2 zombies maps on day 1. So to go from 4 or 3 maps or 2 to only 1 zombies map on day 1 in Cold War was a little bit disappointing. However, D Machine included a ton of Easter eggs. It was the beginning of the Dark Ether story, so there was a lot to get into, a lot of new stuff to learn. But I have to admit, as we went on through this game's life cycle, unlike previous ones, the amount of content we received, the amount of things for us to do to last us until the next content drops, became smaller and smaller. I would say the amount of content in Die Maschine was more than enough to last us until DLC 1 Firebase C, and then the amount of content in Firebase C lasted us about a week, I would say. We then have to wait, I think it was about 3 or 4 months until the next Zombies map, which was Mauer der Toten. That map then came out and it felt dead after a week just because there weren't really any Easter eggs. There wasn't much information added to the story that we couldn't have already worked out or that we didn't already know. So again, Mauer der Toten lasted us about a week. Luckily, the final map for Cold War, DLC 4, wasn't too long around the corner. I think it was about a month or 2 months away. But again, following the same pattern as all of the other DLC maps, there just wasn't really much to do in it. Besides from the main quest, which takes an hour or so, there aren't really that many side Easter eggs. And the reason I'm saying all of this is because these past two Zombies games, Vanguard and Cold War, compared to BO4, 3, 2, and 1. I don't like to count World at War because Zombies back then was only just getting off on its own 2 feet. It had a tiny development team. Treyarch had no idea what it was going to become, so to compare World at War, which came out 14 years ago, to what Zombies is nowadays isn't fair. But if you think of how long not only those games lasted us, but those maps, there would be enough content in each and every Zombies map to last us until the next one. And then when we had to wait until Treyarch's next game, whether it be a 1 year gap or a 2 year gap, there was enough content from the games that we had to last us until Treyarch's next game. And so when Cold War finished, I feel like Zombies kind of died for a year. Whereas in between BO2 and 3 there was plenty to do. In between BO3 and 4 there was a lot to do. In between BO4 and Cold War there was a lot to do. But after Cold War finished, in between that game and the release of Vanguard Zombies, which was only a few months, it was a dead period, which is very, very weird considering we'd previously gone 1 or 2 years with no Zombies content, yet it felt like there was a ton to do. After Cold War, it didn't feel like that. And well, I don't need to tell you about Vanguard Zombies. We are currently about halfway through a Treyarch's Zombies life cycle, and yeah, it's dead. If you hadn't purchased Vanguard Zombies, you wouldn't know that we'd only just had a new map, in quotation marks. What was it, a few weeks ago? A month ago? I've never experienced a Treyarch Zombies game before, or even Cold War, where the current Zombies is dead. No one's interested. Even me, a person that loves COD Zombies, especially the storyline, I don't care about this game. I don't like it. I have no interest in the story. Yes, I've listened to all of the radios. I've seen the story that's being told in this game, and to me, it's just boring. Dr. Kraft, the artifacts or the Elder Gods, Von List are characters, or should I say the operators. None of it is interesting to me, and that's, well, it's very disappointing because I don't really know how to explain it. I don't know who's writing the story in this game. Is it Craig Houston? It's just extremely disappointing because there is a story there, but it just isn't interesting to me, let alone the way it's being told through Intel radios. That's never interesting. But even then, that was pretty much how the story was told in Cold War, and to a certain extent, I thought it was okay. Not on the level that we'd had previously, but it was still bearable. It was enough to pique my interest, but what we're being told in Vanguard Zombies, it sucks. There's hardly any room for speculation and theory, which is what Zombies has been built off. I do think a big reason why the story is so bad is also because the characters are bad. Not even talking about the fact that we don't have a set playable cast, which is a must when you're telling any story. If you think of any campaign game, the antagonist, the character you are playing as, is so important. If you don't connect with them, then immediately you're less interested. So when you have to play as some boring, lifeless operators, it definitely doesn't help. But also the characters that aren't playable, the Elder Gods, are extremely annoying. Some of them I find very cringe. Kraft is a bit of a boring character. Von List is annoying. Cortifex just rambles on and nothing ever happens. I would say 90% of the characters, if not all of them in this game, are bad. Whereas if we think of some of the awesome characters we've had in Zombies in the past, Primus, Ultimus, Victus, the Mob of the Dead crew, the Shadows of Evil characters, or even characters that aren't playable, Dr. Maxis, Dr. Monty, the Shadow Man, how awesome they were. We've had some badass voice actors, and then you think of the dead characters that we have in Vanguard Zombies. Even Cold War had some pretty good characters, Samantha, Weaver, Kravchenko, but all of the characters in Cold War, they suck. The voice acting it's bad. And then if I'm not talking about the story, and I'm not talking about the fact that there are no Easter eggs in this game, there are hardly any side Easter eggs. I think there's one in the new map, Terra Meridicta or whatever it's called, and then there is the main quest, again in quotation marks because it isn't really. But besides from there being pretty much no Easter eggs and a very boring story, the main thing, the one thing that should be the most important, the gameplay, again I'm going to use that word which sums up this game, it's boring. From what I can tell, no one, or hardly anyone, I don't want to speak for everyone, is interested in COD Zombies, which is weird because at the moment we are currently in the life cycle of a Treyarch Zombies game. This should be the peak of content, but instead we've got nothing. I don't know, obviously I'm not a game developer, but I just wanted to give my thoughts on where I think COD Zombies is at the moment. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd be interested to see what you guys think. Drop a like rating if you have enjoyed. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest videos on the channel. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.